From Washington, here is the news in VOA Special English. An influential group of Egyptian judges says it will not supervise a national vote December 15th on a new constitution. The state news agency published a statement by the Judges Club Sunday. It said all members had agreed to support a boycott of the vote. Egyptian judges usually supervise such voting processes. Many Egyptian judges went on strike last month to protest President Mohamed Morsi's order barring courts from questioning his decisions. The judges of Egypt's top court joined them on Sunday. They said they were suspending their work immediately because of what they called psychological and physical pressures. The judges said they were afraid to enter the Supreme Constitutional Court Sunday, as Islamists held a pro-Morsi political demonstration outside. The judges were to make a ruling that could have ended 2 Islamist-controlled assemblies. The Israeli government has rejected United Nations support for an independent Palestinian state. It says it will withhold more than $120 million in taxes and other fees which it collects for Palestinians. It will use the money to pay Palestinian Authority debts to Israeli companies. The announcement came as crowds welcomed Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas back to the West Bank city of Ramallah after his diplomatic victory last week. The Palestinians won non-member state observer status at the UN General Assembly. Israel and the United States strongly opposed the move. Syrian warplanes and rockets attacked rebel-controlled areas near Damascus Sunday. At least 10 people were killed and many others were wounded. The Syrian troops are trying to stop the rebels from seizing the capital. A Syrian activist group based in Britain said 2 airstrikes targeted the town of Dorea near Damascus. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights also said that rockets hit a town east of the capital. Most of the deaths and injuries happened there. And the group reported that the Syrian Air Force launched airstrikes on the northern city of Aleppo and at targets across northern Idlib province and the Mediterranean city of Latakia. Tibetan sources tell VOA that a 17-year-old Tibetan has set himself on fire in a protest against Chinese rule. The sources say Songdi Kyab from the Ganan area of Gansu province was severely burned. Police took him to a hospital. At least 91 Tibetans have held similar protests in western China since 2009. 28 of the cases happened in the last month. Most of the protesters have burned to death. Gunmen in Nigeria have killed at least 10 Christians in a raid in the northern state of Borno. People in Chibok village say the gunmen entered the village Saturday night. Witnesses said the attackers cut the throats of their victims and then burned their homes. Nigerian officials have not confirmed details of the raid. However, one official says the Islamic group Boko Haram is probably responsible. Human rights groups blame Boko Haram for more than 3,000 deaths since 2009. The group wants to set up a conservative Islamic state in northern Nigeria. Boko Haram's targets have included police stations and Christian churches. Sudanese officials say 2 militants have been killed during a raid on an Islamist training camp in the country's southeast. Sinnar State Governor Ahmed Abbas says 4 police officers were also wounded in the 2 days of fighting. The raid began Friday. Police arrested at least 20 people, including the group's leader. Officials say the group was living in Dender National Park, a large area where wildlife is protected. It lies along the border of Ethiopia and stretches across several Sudanese states. During the 1990s, Sudan was known to provide shelter to militants, including former al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. The United States lists Sudan as a state supporter of terrorism. South Sudan's top negotiator, Pagan Amum, met Sunday with Sudanese Defense Minister Abdurrahim Mohamed Hussein and Presidential Advisor Nafi Ali Nafi. The men discussed security and economic issues. Mr. Amum called the meeting successful. He gave no other details. Sudan and South Sudan signed an agreement in September to end a dispute over payments South Sudan makes to Sudan. The money pays for South Sudan's use of Sudan's pipelines and oil factories, as well as a port in the north. But the agreement has not yet taken effect. That is because the 2 countries disagree about the withdrawal of troops from their disputed border. Slovenia's former Prime Minister, Borut Pahor, has won the country's presidential election by a large percentage of votes. Official results give Mr. Pahor 67% of the votes. His opponent, President Danilo Turk, won 33%. Mr. Pahor says the results mark a time of new hope. He urged all Slovenians to trust and show respect for one another. The Slovenian president is mainly a position of ceremony. The office does not hold much political power. The Slovenian economy has slowed greatly since the 2009 recession. The current government has cut many social programs and pay for government workers in order to shrink the budget deficit. Last week, a large protest of such budget cuts became violent. At least 15 people were hurt. Japanese officials say an underground pathway for a road collapsed early Sunday west of Tokyo, killing at least 3 people. Police said they saw several burned bodies in one car. The number of dead could rise because several people are believed to be missing. The accident happened in the 4.7-kilometer-long Sasago Tunnel in Yamanashi Prefecture, 80 kilometers west of Tokyo.